Thought it'd be a nice idea to say a few words here in the shul. Remind you that this is where to remember, I guess. This is where we speak to the Aron generally, to everybody. We speak to everybody here on Shabbos. It is an empty room. It's been empty for a long time, but I do come into the office once in a while, so I figured I'd come down here and I'd say my few words that I want to say down here in the shul for that touch. That to remind us, maybe you smell a little bit with more of a heavy heart the place that we miss. It's fascinating. Rabbi Yonah, this week's parsha, it speaks to the times as well, and it says as follows. The Torah talks about Achri Mos B'nei Shnei B'nei Aron Nadav Avihu. So Rabbi Yonah says that Nadav Avihu were from the greatest people of the generation. The greatest. As the pasuk says in Shemos, when Hashem asks Moshe Rabbeinu to come up to the mountain, Moshe Oma Alei El Hashem Ato VaAron Nadav VaAvihu v'Shivim Meziknei Yisrael v'Shtachavisa Mirochach. Listen, pay attention to the order that the Torah lists them. Moshe, Aron, Nadav VaAvihu v'Shivim Ziknei Yisrael. So Nadav Avihu seemed to have been on a greater stature, greater level than even the Shiva Ziknei Yisrael, the elders, the greatest of the leaders of Klal Yisrael. And yet, nevertheless, Rabbi Yonah says that they died because they did something. They brought a keteris, an offering that they weren't asked to do in the Beis HaMikdash and the Mishkan. Now, the keteris we know is a keteris that the lashon of the Rabbi Yonah, the Rabbi Yonah's words of Af al pi kein meso hem yosh haketores itzeres hamagefa. The ketores, they died, even though they went and brought this offering, this ketores, for the greatest purposes. The ketores is itzeres hamagefa. It stops magefas, it stops plagues. But nevertheless, they died because they did something that wasn't asked of them. And the Torah says, why is it brought here? Is an Achri Moshe B'nei Aron is immediately after that statement begins the Avodas Yom Kippurim. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, on the holiest day of the year, he's going to go to Lefnai Lefnim, he's going in to do the service in the inners of the Mishkan. Said he should remember and he should know and be charged and remember that when you go in there and perform the Avodah and do that service in the Mishkan, in the Beis HaMikdash, just make sure you do it exactly right. And I heard from my Rabbi, Penach Leibowitz, or Shiva Chavetz Chaim Zatzal. But asked, how did they make such a mistake? How did Nadav Avihu, Moshe, Aron, Nadav Avihu, and then the Shivim Ziknei Yisrael? Where did they make the mistake? What was their thinking? And even more so, Rabbi Yonah seems to say, is there was a need, there was a requirement to say it here, right before the Kohen Gadol is going in. His first time, Aron HaKohen, he's going in to do the Avodah. He's going into the service on Yom Kippur. Be careful. Make sure that you shelo yishane b'dava b'chol ha'avodah sheyesh lo lasos. Be careful, Aron. You're going into the inners. Be careful, don't do anything other than what you're exactly told to do. Why would Aron? Why would we even think that Aron, Kohen Gadol, could even begin to think of adding something to that avodah, or to take away and do something different? How did Nodav Avihu add a Keteris? Oitzeres HaMagefa, Keteris, as we learned in Bamidbar, that's what Keteris does. It's burnt offering. Prevents plagues. That's their kavanah, that's their intention. So we have to say, this is what Rabbi Shiva said, Zatzal, he was saying that sometimes it's possible to have an igiyah. Sometimes a person can have a distortion. And when it thinks that I'm doing something l'shem shamayim, I'm doing it for the sake of heaven, I'm doing it for the sake of Klal Yisrael. I'm here, I want to prevent my gefes. I want to do the avodas Yom Kippurim so Klal Yisrael can have a kapara. I'm going in on Yom Kippur. Klal Yisrael should have a kapara. Have an atonement for their past year. So I'm hit. L'fnei l'fnim, I'm the Kodesh Kodashim. Maybe I can do something a little bit more. Torah comes to tell us you got to be careful. And Negiyah, sometimes we can have a distortion. We have a drive, an urge, a sense that I want to do something for the sake of heaven, l'shem shamayim. I got an idea. A Keteris. Ooh, I have an idea. I'm inside here in the Kodesh Kodashim. Torah is telling us how careful we need to be. Especially when it comes to L'shem Shamayim, because there you're not going to necessarily see clearly. Now, if it's a Negiyah, if I have an impulse, feeling a strong drive to do something that's an Aveira, that's a Chet, so you stop to think, I know it's wrong. But here, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm davening with a minion, so let's say during these days. How careful, to make that decision. Let's go and open yeshivas. Baruch Hashem, there are leaders in Klal Yisrael. It's today, Moshe B'Dorei, and our leaders in our generation. How careful we need to be whenever it is that we're being driven to do something. Our drive, what's propelling us, is I'm doing it l'shem shamayim. I'm doing it because this is what Hashem wants. This is what God wants. How careful you need to be. The Torah tells us, how far this goes even. Because, again, further in this parsha, when it talks about Aron himself, Vayas, the Torah tells us in Vayikra, in this parsha, Vayas kashet tziva Hashem es Moshe. It's good. Torah tells us about Aron, Kashihigia Yom HaKippurim. He did it on Yom Kippur, Keseda Azeh, Ulahagit Shvochoi Shel Aron, Shalei Loivshan, he put on the big day kahuna that was there, L'Teferes, for his glory. But the glory of the kahuna, but he didn't do it like do lo soy, Elokim Mekayim Gzeres HaMelech. I'm told to do it, and this is what I'm doing. Even a negiyah of his honor, of his greatness, what he's doing, to be careful for. Here it is, Aron, Kohen Gadol. Can you imagine with the big day kahuna? He had it all on. Oh, now, this is me. Look what I look like. Look what I'm dressed like. Look how great I am. And we're talking about such a great person yet, that was able to be careful not to have that sense of the me, the anoichi, the I. I'm dressed so royal. I'm dressed to koyin godlos begodim. Aron was able to have that ability to remove that improper thought. And yet he still needed to be charged. And he still needed to be warned. Aron, the Shem Shemayim, you can be sensitive not to do it l'gdul lasai, for your glory. You're going in there and you're doing it all the Shem Shemayim. You're right, you're going in there. Maybe even in this case you need to even be more careful. Our hope and our tefillah is that our decisions that we make in life, decisions that we make, are driven, of course, always l'shem shemayim. But to be careful that the l'shem shemayim be with what's the exact mission, the exact charge. And we shall all be zoicha to see Yeshua's and refuah's b'karov. Amen.